Hi, Missladypetal here. If you're wondering why you haven't seen me for a while, I've actually been waiting on a new microphone for my iPhone. It finally arrived today, and so the audio on this video should be much better than all my others. I found that my older style Handycam was not giving a clear enough picture, and so I've decided that I would invest in a microphone. So today is the first test run of that. Lots of things have been happening since I last logged in and said hi to everyone. The first thing that I wanted to say was that the Altered Book project is finally completely dead. I was intending to make a funny video of all the things that I tried to do to destroy it, and that is still on the cards. I honestly think that one of these things should line nuclear bunkers because it didn't matter what I do. Apart from ripping it to pieces, nothing would stick to it. So I've decided that I'm going to start another Altered Book project on one of the other books that I bought, and I will just have lots of fun doing that. So my board book Altered Book project is no more. And in fact, a few of my friends have encouraged me that some of the projects that I wanted to put in that Altered Book project, I should really put onto a canvas anyway. So a few things that have been going on for me is I just finished having a creative 3-day long weekend with my friend Vicky McBride, and those of you in the Crazy Island family will have seen our photos of our jelly prints. I've also been working on a new painting, my Winter Flowers painting. Thank you, Claudia, for your help with this so far. I'm moving along at a steady pace with that, and I might give you guys a sneak peek of what that looks like at the end of this video, where it is at the moment. This one will be for sale. As much as everyone that's looking at it right now goes, no, you can't sell that. That's exactly what I'll be doing. And I'll be selling my series of seasonal flower paintings to help put roofs on churches in India. Each roof costs $1,500. And the women's ministry in my church is wanting to we put 5 roofs on churches in India last year, and these are in really, really poor little villages that can build the walls out of mud and the floor and get everything else done, but they can't afford to put roofs on. So I'm doing these paintings, and half the profits will be going to that mission project, which I'm like really extremely excited about. So yeah, that's a really great thing, and it spurs me on to have artistic excellence, I guess. I've just finished my ATC swap, so you can see the little envelopes that I'm doing. That's upside down. I'm using one of my homemade stamps that I made on the weekend for jelly printing. So where's the stamp? Here's the stamp. So used it on cardboard, very thick, and I had a Cuttlebug die, and it's called Crazy Circles, uneven circles, and they were perfect for doing this stamp, and I used it in jelly printing, and it was an amazing stamp. I really am enjoying it. And I found like you can I just applied the paint with a foam paintbrush and over the top. Normally I use my jelly plate to adhere paint really well to these stamps, but if I'm just wanting to use the stamp and I'm not doing jelly printing, then I'll use a foam brush, and that'll get it over, and it'll give me a good enough impression because I'm pretty messy anyway. So behind me you can see I've got a letter journal. So I've got Stacey's letter journal at the moment. I'm in 7 different groups, so I know Stacey's in more than one group, and so am I, obviously. So I've got hers to work on. I've just sent off a local journal to Vicky after the weekend, and I jelly printed up a whole stack of letter journal envelopes. So in the future, anyone who's doing letter journals with me, you'll recognize those envelopes. And I'll just pull up an ATC card that was a reject. So here's an ATC card that's a reject. I wasn't really happy with my doodling or anything else with it, so I decided that I would replace it with something else. And that's the main thing I've been doing, apart from the painting. Whenever I do a painting, it completely consumes me, and I find that I can't do art journaling while I'm doing it. I can't do projects. I was fortunate that I did the majority of the work on the ATCs before I started the painting, because once I started painting, I become really immersed in it, and it's all I can think about until I complete it. I'm not one of those artists that can leave a whole bunch of half-finished paintings all around and then just go back to them. I can do that with journal pages, and I can do that with my smaller projects. But when I'm doing a serious painting, no, I'm completely consumed by it for the whole length of time that I'm doing it. So at the moment, that's the thing that's consuming me, and like, you won't see me doing too many other demonstration videos, I guess, until after I finish that. I've got 3 pages of requests of videos. I just got another one today, and I said, I should do a video on the way that I store my stamps. So instead of doing a video just on storage solutions, I thought that I would pull out a few of my drawers in the studio and some of my folders and give them a bit of a go. So I'm going to move this microphone a bit. Awesome microphone. And just have it facing towards me. That's pretty cool. And I'm going to grab and show you what I do with my acrylic, or silicone stamps, cling stamps. So I have these great big binders, and they're just like an A4 binder. I made sure that I got one. I'll just put it behind me there. I made sure I got one with 4 rings. So if you can see the 4 rings, because that helps the plastic sheets to have more structural integrity. And what I did at first was I have, these are CD inserts. So this is my backgrounds and alphabets folder. And so I have all my smaller backgrounds in these CD folders, and the trick to doing that is to keep the plastic backing on the back but not on the front, so it sticks within here. Then I find that using these like folders, you can put all your odd shaped stamps in them. So I've got prima dolls, I've got odd shaped stamps, I've got alphabets and journaling blocks, families of stamps that I didn't want to cut up, and they're all in those A4 expandable pouches, and because they're all in their families, they fit together really well. So that's what I do for the majority of my stamps. My wooden stamps just go in little drawers, and look, I've culled some of my products because I tend to keep going back to the images and the pictures that I like, and I'm really select about what stamps that I buy now, because I don't scrapbook anymore, and I use stamps a little bit less in my art journaling, and particularly even in my serious art. I do use some stamps, and I use mainly my homemade stamps for jelly printing now, and that's a lot of what I do. So I have my smaller stamps, and I have like a business card holder, so you can see this. So I've got my small ones in like business card holders, enough that you can see what they are. And then I've got some more of those CD holders in the back for the slightly larger ones. And again, more of the pockets at the back for just odd shaped stamps that don't seem to fit into anything else. And some of my Copics stamps. And these are, I mean, this is just 2 of my folders, but the majority of my stamps are in these folders. I don't, like I said, I don't buy a lot more now. I tend to make a lot of my own. For my stencils and masks, there was a conversation going on in the Crazy Island family this morning about that. So I've got a really large, big Kaiser Craft 12 by 12. And what I do with that is I have smaller pockets at the front for my small stuff. And this is another one of those expanding folders, which I'll just pop some stuff in. This is only a 2-ring binder. So I've got another one of those expanding things that I use for my stamps, but these are just my mono printing or jelly printing stencils and masks. So those are the things that I really only use for that. They are more suitable for that than anything else. And what you find, like what I find with this one, is it's a lever arch 2-ring system, and it's nowhere near as strong as the 4-ring, and so some of the pockets go out. So for this I have both A4 where I have black backgrounds so that I can see what I've got, and then I've got my big 12 by 12s at the back. And you can see that. So I'm just going to put this in because this is just a little bit too unwieldy, and it always lies flat on my table. I never hold it up. So I probably should have taped that going flat on my table, but you know, I'm just doing a vlog. I'm not doing an instructional video right now. So, what's happening in my life at the moment? I'm having a lot of challenges with my conference that I'm creative director for. Had a fabulous meeting on Tuesday night with the women's leadership team, and I spent a lot of time getting them to buy into my creative vision. I felt that that was a really good success because I'm new to the team. It's one of those scenarios where the leadership who has, my pastor's wife who has the overarching responsibility for the whole conference, and there's a couple of hundred people go to this conference, so it's not a small thing, and people from different states come to it as well. So I have been appointed, oh that'd be great, I have paint on my thing now because I move. I must have like Greek or Italian in me because I always seem to be moving my head a lot, and then like I just put my flower in there and then it constantly comes out, and I just knock things over because I talk with my hands a lot. But my conference duties, they're really coming together now. My creative vision is really coming along. I have completed the majority of the artwork except for the paintings that I'm doing, like my personal paintings. So I've done the majority of the artwork, and the registration forms have come out and everybody's going, ooh, that's so pretty. So they're liking the stock images that I've provided for all of that, and that's really bolstering my creative vision to take it further, to expand it, to really do something that's beautiful and different and uniquely me. And I think that that's a really exciting thing. So the other thing that I got today, and I didn't bring it into my studio, is I got my Doodles Unleashed book. So I'm going to stop this and then I'll go and get it and come back. So today in the mail, I actually ordered 3 books and a little Art Passion moleskin journal. And you know, I managed to get them cheaper from the United States this time than ordering them from Australia. So I essentially got the Moleskin journal for free. So when I can get something like that for free, yay. Oh, and you know how I was saying that I couldn't get Delusions journals over here? Well, we've found a place where we can get them, and they're actually a little bit cheaper than the United States. So the small Moleskin 5x8 journal, that's coming in at $17.95. And the A4 size journal is coming in at $21.95 Australian. So I'm really excited about that. And although nobody has them in stock because they seem to go out, they seem to be pre-ordered and then they never get to the shelves. So we're having them held aside for us, which is really cool. So today I received my first book that I ordered, which is Tracy Bautista's Doodles Unleashed. Fabulous book. I've only read a couple of pages of it so far, but I really encourage any of you that are starting doodling and just looking for inspiration and looking for techniques to get something like this. This is really good. It's got art journal prompts. I have ordered 2 other books on mixed media and art journal prompts, The Art of Art Journal Play, and I will talk about those books when I get them in the mail. Because up until now, I've relied on my own personal inspirations and YouTube a lot. Now I'm wanting to really go down that path, and Gina, you really inspired me to get a few books and to really make my own reference manuals out of them. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So that was such a great tip, Gina Ahrens. I'm going to dog tag everything in this book that I think is great for me. In fact, I'll probably most likely keep this whole one because Tracy's probably one of my favourite mixed media artists, and I've done some of her online courses and been really, really happy with them. So I now am at a place where I really want to just work with a prompt and then completely create from that prompt, rather than thinking that I even need I have to create my own prompt, or I have to always create my own vision. And I think sometimes if you can just have a seed planted, then you can grow your own vision from that one seed. But sometimes it's really nice not to have to think about that seed. So I love Gina's idea where she's doing, the life book kind of thing, and she's doing like a combination of art journal, smash journal type thing. So I am doing that, and it's really coming along well. Although I don't have time to do my art journaling at the moment. The first thing that I saw from this book today, and I quickly went out with my camera this afternoon, was to go and take a whole heap of stock images of things that inspire you and to be creative every day with that. So even if I'm not art journaling, I can create a reference book of photos that are really for me doodling and printmaking and designing. Because at the moment I'm designing some stencils and designing stamps and designing, printmaking tools, and that is something that I take my inspiration from nature. And so I love the thought that I can have my inspiration from my local area where I am. So I'm kind of walking around with photos with my camera and with my iPhone at the moment, just deciding that I'm going to do that. I'm going to print a whole heap of them up. And I've taken photos of my latest round of jelly prints. Because another thing that I've learned is that you can reuse your art, and that is a really great idea. To be able to have your mono prints, say you do your jelly prints and you really love that print, and then you use it to cover something, or you use an art journal page, then it's only being used once and you can't use it again. And particularly like me, if you tend to do some double-sided stuff, then sometimes you'll lose the other side. which Claudia found out when I sent her some things in the Happy Mail. So I now am taking photographs of all my jelly printed prints before I do anything with them, and then I have digital prints of that, and if I really want to, I can print them out in black and white, or I can print them out in colour, or I can go and get them professionally printed and use them as a background on a canvas and something like that, instead of having to jelly printing that design myself. I might not even, all my jelly print designs are pretty random, so you know, sometimes I can't always recreate the perfect blend of colours that I mix up when I'm printing. So I think it's great to photograph your work, and particularly if you're going to then use that work and create something different and new from it. So the other thing that I'm doing is photographing all my letter journals. So I'm photographing them before I touch it and then after I touch it. So at some point, if somebody asks me, well, what did you contribute? Then I can show you before and after photos of when the letter journal was in my possession. This is what I did to it. So just to let you know that that's a really good tip for letter journals. And just on the letter journals, some of the letter journals that I've gotten are printed on every page, like there's a background on every page, and I don't recommend doing that. I've received others that just the covers have been done and there's nothing in between, and I kind of think to myself, you probably shouldn't do that either. You should probably, my rule of thumb for letter journals is to do the front and the back cover and to make them strong. I'm really in love with the idea of doing a snail trail or an atlas or a map of where it's going in the world, so that we all know kind of how far across the globe all these journals are going and the way they're crisscrossing the seas. And I often will monoprint, put a couple of monoprinted pages, or start some collage work, and then I fully expect somebody to add something to it. There's some pages in some journals that I've used where I've not even finished a page. So somebody started a page and they've put a couple of elements on it, and then I've added a couple of other collage elements and maybe a stamp, and and then on some other pages a painted image or something like that, so or a doodle. And then I fully expect somebody else to come in and doodle further and add something else, or maybe paint some stuff on it, or you know, do whatever it is that they love doing. But then you could conceivably then have 3 or 4 or even 5 people contributing to one small page. And I like that idea. I like the fact that it can be really collaborative. So, but then sometimes there's standalone pages where you just don't want to mess with the page because it's already beautiful. And I've come across a couple of pages like that where I just think, I don't want to touch that page. I just think it's perfect the way it is. And so I leave them alone. I don't feel the need to always add something when I see something and I think it's just perfect the way it is. And there's some of you guys are so amazing, you know, the people that I'm swapping journals with, like the new guys and the guys that have been doing this for a while. I'm constantly amazed by what you do, and I hope that my ideas bless you guys as well. So that's my vlog for today. Oh look, one last thing. You know, I showed photos on Crazy Island Family of the paint haul that I got, but I kind of wanted to give you an idea. This is like a heavy bag, and there are so many paints in there that I have the majority of my paints in this drawer here. And as you can see, some of the paints are getting to the top. And I know some people say they hate digging for paints, but so far that's so much better digging for them at my eye level than digging for them off the floor, because I have them in a big tub on the floor. So I've got another pigeonhole there, and at the moment that's got all my glues and mediums and gessos and things like that in it. So, but I'm thinking with all those paints, like I mainly bought that whole bag of paints, cost me $7.25. because they're all on sale. They're all 35 cents each. And some of them are gels. So I've got some amazing stuff. So I've got, and this is something, so it's gel paint. So I love the idea of using translucent surfaces. Some of it's folk art paint. Some of it's stencil paint. But it's in these amazing applicators, so I can use it like a pipette. So those stencil paint things that I've got in the gel paints, when I'm doing my doodling, instead of having to load a paint into a pipette, which is kind of like what I do there, so let me take the lid off. So I use that, and it's got a, and I create that hole so I can make a very fine hole, and then I write with that and doodle with it on paintings and journal pages and things like that. With those stencil paints, they're going to be like paint pens that I can doodle with, and I'm going to use them particularly for that. But I can also doodle with them for jelly printing. So I can doodle on a jelly plate and then print that. And of course it'll come out a little bit fatter than the doodle, but if I'm a little bit disciplined about the way that I doodle, then I can put some of my own doodles into my jelly prints as well as the masks and the mark making tools that I have, and the masks that I create and my homemade stamps. So it makes my jelly printing very, very unique. And I love the fact that I can create really unique elements that come completely from my designs and nobody else has them. I love that idea. So I'm going to end this video now with a couple of photos of the work that I'm working on and where I'm at, and keep following me. I still am aiming to try and do a video once a week. So I will try very hard to do that. Sometimes it'll be a vlog and sometimes it'll be something that I'm working on. I won't be doing a video of my progress of the painting I'm working on at the moment until it's completely finished. So I won't do that. I'll give you a photo, a sneak peek of it now, but I'll put together a whole video of that painting when it's completely finished. What's happening in my personal life? Well, I'm singing in church. I've just spent the last 3 days bogged down in bookkeeping for my BAS. Those in Australia will know what a BAS is, but we quarterly have to lodge our GST returns to the tax office, and organising stock for our IT business, and ferrying my kids to work and doing things like that. So I'm really busy, and I often don't get to paint till 9. And of course, anyone who's an artist knows you want sunlight when you're painting. Thankfully, I'm mainly using greys, but even so, the shadows don't fall the way that you want them to fall. And so I really need to get back into, I have to wait till the weekend now, and I'm really going to work hard on this on the weekend, because I have a 3D flower to put together, and got to use special adhesives and get all that structurally correct before I can really progress to paint the other flowers properly, because some of them will be completely thrown into shadow by that 3D flower, in which case I need my paint to reflect that shadow from the way the light source is going, and then the other flower will be completely in the sunlight, so much brighter. So I need to get a perspective to make sure that the light source is being thrown exactly where it should be on the canvas. And it's very exciting though. I'm loving the way that it's looking so far. So anyway, it's ciao from Missladypetal. Just remember to do something special for yourself. You deserve it. And if you find that you need some inspiration, just look on YouTube, go to our Krazy Island family. If you haven't joined the Krazy Island family, look for us on Facebook. We're growing at a really, really fast rate, and you'll find every different kind of art that you can possibly imagine on that group, and we're a really supportive bunch. There's no way that we will ever tell anyone a negative comment. We're there to encourage, and if you ask for feedback, we will give you feedback, but it will always be encouraging and constructive feedback. So For instance, if I think a painting maybe needs a little bit more perspective, or somebody asks, what saying will I put on this journal page, or please can I have some feedback about the composition of a page, I'll honestly give some feedback, but it'll be really positive, and it'll be like, yeah, have you thought about doing this? Not, that looks really bad, you really should have done something else. I'll never frame it in negative language. Nothing's negative in the art world. Your art is your art, and it's a positive thing. And it doesn't matter, we are always our own worst critics and most severe critic. And I often find that I'm far more severe on myself than I am on other people's work that I see. And I'm far less encouraging to myself. So I often find for me, when I load things onto the Krazy Island family or onto my Missladypetal Creations blog or website, that I really look for the feedback, because it can just give me that one spark or that one little idea that I haven't thought of, and then that'll make my next piece even better. And I value that. I really do. We don't always just want to be told our art's fabulous all the time. I, for one, like an idea about what people think that maybe I could have done better. And if I ask for it, then, feel free to comment. So that's the way that we roll on the Krazy Island family, and certainly on my Missladypetal Creations page and my Pinterest boards, where I have my work and other people's work. I have a broad interest in a heap of different work and a heap of different styles. So, no two people are the same, and no two people's art are really the same unless they really want to make it the same. But even then, if you have joy in creating anything, then do it. It's just make sure that you always give credit where credit's due. So if I get inspired by Tracy Bautista or by Claudia on Krazy Island Family, I always acknowledge them as my inspiration for that, but I try and make things completely my own, and my paintings are completely my own. So there you have it. Ciao from Missladypetal. It's like I keep going, P.S., P.S., P.S. Just one more thing. This is it. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.